So we're going to sit down to meditate. And the question is, can you sort of become awake to the personal identity you're bringing to the present moment? Who is sitting down to meditate? That phrase might arise in your mind. I'm the meditator, or I am. Your name might arise, or your emotions might arise. That's just words. Fine. Notice any pictures you have of yourself. Notice the emotional gestalt that you're bringing to this present moment. Okay, so we're awake to the identity of the meditator. We're not trying to get rid of it, but we're just awake to the person that's going to begin this meditation. As we do that, we can become awake to the fact that we are the observer of this identity. So who are we really? We are really the observer of the identity. We can lovingly let that identity be here, and then we can observe it and be the observer of it. And we can then move into the breath, starting with, we'll go through the body with the breath today. We're going to start with the nostrils. And we want to really feel what the present moment experience of the breath in the nostrils is. Noticing how that identity that we brought to the meditation evaporates the second we are fully present with the breath. You can't, it's almost like, can you even try to hold on to the identity while you feel the breath? It's really hard to. It starts to waver and pop and disappear and evaporate. That person that was here to do the meditation starts to get thinner and thinner until it's just the breath. And for most of us, the efforter, the person that's trying to breathe or trying to notice the breath. So the identity gets narrower and narrower. And the more concentrated we are, the smaller that identity gets. When we are fully 100% immersed in the breath, that identity evaporates entirely. There's no more room for pictures or sounds or feelings in the body that are not the breath. And we can help this along by labeling in and out. We're making an effort now to concentrate, meaning we're letting distractions arise and fall, and then we bring our mind back to in and out. And I want to remind you, you're not controlling the breath, you're observing the breath. Just like you're not controlling your identity, you observe your identity. You are not your identity, and you are not your breath, not wholly. Those are only little parts of your experience. So the breath comes in when it wants to come in, it goes out when it wants to go out. And we're letting go of any control of this area. There may be emotions in the nostrils, we just let them go. And now we'll move back into the sinuses. So into the cheeks, behind the nose, and the nose down behind the mouth as the air flows. And we're just feeling the body. In, out. Every third or fourth breath, notice the identity you're bringing to the breath. In, out, in, out. Oh yeah, and there is me, the person trying to observe. It's just a picture in your head of you trying to notice the breath. And if it evaporates or is empty, then great. And you come back and you feel in, out, temperature, pressure, tingling. And you're looking with love on everything you observe. And you're letting go of everything you observe, not trying to control it. You're not controlling the breath. You're not controlling the identity. And we can move into the throat. So we're going to feel the air, the breath in the throat. From the back of the mouth all the way down to the top of the sternum. We're letting go again. So it's very relaxed. We're not controlling the breath. If it gets tense, it's on its own. We're not controlling it. It can be shallow. It can be smooth. It can be long. It can be short. We're not trying to breathe deeply. We're not trying to relax. But we are relaxing any intention, any effort to control anything but our attention. In, out. If emotion or emotional content is arising in the muscles, in the skin, in the fibers of your body around the breath, that's fine. You just let that arise as part of the breathing experience. A lot of us have emotion in our throat. We're not trying to get rid of it. We're not trying to relax it. We're just getting out of the way. We're letting go of our identity with it. We are the observer of the emotion in the throat. We are not the emotion in the throat. Every now and then you can notice the identity you're bringing to the meditation practice. Can you let go of it? Not get rid of it, be awake to it and stop controlling from it. So I want us now to connect from the nostrils through the sinuses, down behind the back of the throat and into the throat, all the way down to the sternum. We're just going to feel that whole area breathing. We're not following the air through it. We're noticing the whole area breathing as one, and we're letting go of control. Lovingly observing the breath. We move our breath now in and notice the sternum all the way around the back of the rib cage. So we're noticing the breath as it comes into the heart area, in between the ribs as they expand, in the back as it expands. And some of us breathe, we're not forcing our breath into our chest. So maybe you always breathe into your chest and it's a big expansive thing to notice, or maybe the chest barely rises and falls. That's fine. We're not controlling. We're taking out any control from our breath. We're just observing, being awake to what experience we're having in the chest area. Again, there's hidden intentions, historical emotions that can be locked in the fibers in here. We aren't trying to get rid of them or control them, but we are withdrawing any identity with them. So we're just observing them. We're letting them do what they want. So if our chest wants to be very tight because of some emotion, we let it be tight until it doesn't want to anymore. And then we'll connect that all together now. So the nostrils, the sinuses, the throat, the chest, the rib cage. We're zooming out here to let that whole it's just like a bellows. It's expanding and contracting. We don't need to control it. We don't need to follow the breath. We're just feeling all those fibers expanding and contracting however they want to. The coolness, the heat, the vibration, the pressure, the shape. Noticing any hidden intention, that is anything that's holding back, any emotion, and just allowing it to be there, but being awake to it. Being awake to it means we can observe it without being identical to it. So if it wants to constrict, it can constrict. We're not the one constricting. As always, we notice if our mind wanders and we bring it back. And every time you want, you can check in with the identity of the meditator. Just noticing, how are you creating an identity? You don't need to get rid of it. You just notice, oh yeah, I have an image of myself meditating or trying. I have some emotion associated with it. And we just let go of that. That doesn't mean get rid of it. It means observe it, be awake to it, and we come back to the breath. We let it evaporate in its own time. Okay, so we'll move into the abdomen region. We'll go from the solar plexus into the abdomen, all the way down to the base of the body, to the perineum, letting that whole area expand and contract. The solar plexus has the diaphragm, which contracts and releases. The belly will expand all the way around to the spine. And there'll be very subtle movements at the very base in the perineum. It's like a balloon gets tied off down there, and you might notice it. Again, we're not trying to breathe into the belly. We're not trying to breathe deeply. We're not trying to control it in any way. We're just noticing what's happening in the breath. Bring ourselves into the present moment. And every now and then, noticing what identity are we bringing to this practice? And can we just become awake to that as we go back to our breath? As we sit here, I want you to start noticing that the place that you were born is not present in the breath in the belly. Your second grade teacher is not present in the breath in the belly. Your first romantic partner is not actually present in the breath in the belly. The best moment in your childhood is not present in the breath in your belly. The worst moment of your childhood is not present in the breath in the belly. How do you know? Look. Notice the feeling of the breath coming in and the feeling of the breath going out. Just notice, feel it. Notice that there is no story there. There could be some emotion, but that emotion will just be more feeling in the body, more sensation in the present moment. I want you to notice that your career is not in your breath in the belly. Your family is not in the breath in the belly. That your age is not in the breath in the belly. That your financial situation is not in your breath in the belly. And your goals are not in the breath in the belly. So notice what's happening as I go through the list of things. I'm bringing your identity up really strongly. And I expect it affects the feelings in your belly. Notice that. Notice how interesting that is. And then can you go back to the present moment experience of the breath in the belly? Because all those things I just said are just words. Just sounds. If emotion has arisen in the belly, you let it be there, lovingly let it be there, and notice that the breath still comes in and goes out. That it still feels pressure and heat and warmth and coolness and flow and tingling. And then it goes out. And so we let go of that identity, all those identities, and we let go of the breath at the same time that we're concentrating on it. We allow it to rise and fall in its own time. We allow the emotion to arise and fall in their own time. We allow the identities to arise and fall in their own time. But we are the observer of all of that. We are the space within which all of that happens. And now we connect the breath from the nostrils, the sinuses, to the throat, down into the sternum and the rib cage, all the way down into the solar plexus, the belly, all the way down to the base of our body. And we feel that whole breath, one big bellows coming in and out. Present moment. What does the breath feel like now? When does the breath want to come in now? When does the breath want to go out now? Memories or words or distractions that arise in the mind, you just let them arise, you let them go, and you come back. Can I feel this breath now? The whole breath is unified in the whole body is unified in the breath. See if you can't zoom out enough to feel that and notice it all happening at once. Okay. When we're ready, you can sort of open your eyes, and I really invite you to maybe take a deep breath in and let it out in a kind of controlled fashion, and then let it out in a more loose fashion, and move your body how you want to move it. A little stretching. Come into the present moment, but in this more alive, vibrant physical sensation.